Hello everyone and welcome to D&D News. I am Greg Tito and I am here to talk to you all about the wonders of Dungeons and Dragons, the game where you roll dice to determine how awesome you are. Well, no, you're always awesome, but you determine whether or not the awesome thing you want to do succeeds or fails with the roll of the dice. I am going to be sipping coffee and hanging out with you all for the next hour as we get ready for Dice Camera Action to begin. It is episode 124 today. We have the Waffle Crew along with Mr. Chris Perkins on the hook, but we also have three amazing guests for today's episode. The Chickenfoot Coven returns. So we welcome back three folks who won the Chickenfoot Coven contest with Holly Conrad. That is Cameron Powell, Kika, and Brian. I can't wait for them to appear on Dice Camera Action 124 again. That'll start in about 56 minutes. I can add and or subtract on the fly. Maybe I can a little bit better if I have more caffeine. How are you guys doing today? Hi, Majesty 2K1. Good to see you. Ravenna 666, Mark of the Beast. Good to have you here. Hey Akeisha, good to see you. How's it going? The Chickenfoot Coven returns. That's right. What's neato? I was just telling people here in the office old jokes that I told about my silly name back in 1995. And now I feel like I need to tell you those because I can't just say I said those jokes without telling you what those jokes were. So one of my go-tos was I was going to name my first child Toast. Didn't really work out. We didn't name our child that at all, but I thought having a son or a daughter named Toastito would have been hilarious. In fact, I think I still have a few nieces and nephews I told that joke to who still refer to my kids as Toast, jokingly and fondly, of course. The other one is a little dated for 1995. Those of you probably watching may not remember, but ooh, are we too hot? Is that what you're trying to say? Did I see someone say that this? I don't even know if this will do it or not. But that might be. There we go. How's that? A little bit better? You let me know if the mic is too out. I could talk quieter as well. Or maybe you were just talking about it being a hot day out in Australia. As I'm actually reading the thing, I'm thinking, of course you're talking about the mic being hot, but no. You're just talking about being hot outside. It is cold here in Seattle. But back to my second joke, which is probably less funny for those of you who were not around when the O.J. Simpson trial here in America was a big deal, but the presiding judge in that case was named Judge Lance Ito, and I thought I would name my first son Judge Lance because I thought that was a funny thing at the time. Coming back to old 1995 legal jokes, here we are on D&D News. I apologize in advance for all the other terrible jokes I'm going to be making over the course of this hour as we prep for Dice Camera Action episode 124. Just like Ito Tito? Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right, Obo. That would have been a good one as well, too. So who is excited for January weather? I am not. It was, as I said, very frosty this morning in Seattle town. I had to scrape two windshields this morning, as well as skidding all over the roads. It's very hilly here in Seattle, so when we were going up the steep embankments, there was a lot of skidding happening. So not as bad as when I lived back in the Northeast and you had to deal with lots of precipitation and snow and ice and things like that. But it was, it's January. So how are you guys dealing with the winter months? Those of you in this hemisphere, those of you in the southern hemisphere, I'm jealous that you have such a hot day out there. And here's hoping that, 6 months from now, we can share some of our stories of how hot and awesome it is here in the summer months. How many people are from Australia here in chat? I did see a couple people here talking about it, but that's never know. Trob 19, you're waiting for the snow. I hear, yeah, there is going to be some snow dropping in Michigan. What's up, Fletch? Fletch 33. What's up, Dustin? How are you? How has your streaming been going there on D4? Elwarius, good to see you too. How's your streaming been doing? Always good, I'm sure. I see Gen Con TV is there. I think I might know the person who's behind that, but I'm not sure which one it is. So hi, welcome, both of you. It could be any number of people, honestly. But good to see you. Glad you're here. We're having fun. I am going to talk about some fun new stuff that's happening for Dungeons and Dragons, but I do want to warn you. There is a lot of stuff that happened in the last few months of 2018 for Dungeons and Dragons, and right now we're in that fallow period where we're prepping all kinds of announcements for fun and exciting stuff that will be coming earlier than you think in 2019, or at least the announcements might be earlier than you think. I don't know. We'll play it by ear, but there might be some fun things happening. First up is, top of mind for me, PAX South is this weekend. Did you guys know that? It's happening in Austin, Texas. There will be lots of awesomeness happening in Austin, including Mr. Jeremy Crawford returning to the Acquisitions Incorporated stage to continue the storyline of where he left off after his appearance at PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. I'm trying to remember my password to my computer because it went dead and it's got everything in front of it. But that Actions Incorporated show is happening. I want to make sure I get the timing right so I don't give you erroneous information. Yes, it is 6 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday from PAX South. So mark your calendars for that. We'll be hosting the Penny Arcade channel for all of that. There is also a lot of other fun stuff happening this weekend, including our friends from Roleplay. Court of Swords is having their 100th episode. That's Dungeon Master Adam Coble, who does all the stuff for Roll20 Presents, as well as being a stand-up dude in general. And he has been running their series for, 100 episodes. That is a crazy good and amazing milestone. I think they are doing their episode 99 today. I think that was the plan. And then 100, it's going to be a long, epic affair. JP and Max, who we had on Dragon Talk last Friday, just are super excited. They talked all about the longevity that show has had, and I'm excited for them to get together. I think they're going to play for 6 to 8 hours on Saturday. So tune in to Roleplay. Excuse me for that. We will be having it hosted here, of course, in between all of the happenings at PAX South. There's also Rivals of Waterdeep returning Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. I got to hang out a lot with Tanya DePass this past weekend at OrcaCon. She also came into the office and did share some hosting duties for us on the mic for Dragon Talk last Friday. So I am super excited for Sharif Jackson to take over as Dungeon Master for Season 3 of Rivals of Waterdeep. They did, it's super amazing that before playing with Rivals of Waterdeep at the Stream of Many Eyes last year, Sharif had never played Dungeons & Dragons before. So that was their first real experience with role-playing. Always known about it, always been fascinated by it, but hadn't actually gotten a chance to play. And here he is, Season 3, starting to Dungeon Master. So that's really awesome, and it speaks to the, just amazingness that Dungeons and Dragons is encompassing right now, getting new people into the game, getting people excited about telling stories with this crazy framework that Dungeons and Dragons has going on. So look for that. Again, that's 10 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday, this Sunday. I need more coffee. That's pretty much what needs to happen. And then of course, Dustin Fletcher has D4 happening this weekend. We also have Trace Albus that we'll be hosting as much as we can. There's a lot of stuff going on this weekend, but I see Elwarius is in the chat too, so we'll be hosting that as much as we can. Hopefully not on a weekend that doesn't have a PAX South happening. We will be hosting more of these amazing things. And then we start playing Fistful of Platinums on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. and that is Adventurers League admin Alan Patrick leading through a bunch of amazing people using the Waterdeep Dragon Heist Beetle and Grimm's Platinum Edition. I actually just opened that up. Really, I mean, I saw a bunch of the pieces and stuff as they were coming up with making that Platinum Edition. But seeing the package all together was really great. I was about to spring it on some of those items on my players last night. But I had 3 players who've been doing a home game of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. 2 of them canceled, so I ended up not playing. So I immediately started recruiting more players. I only have 3. I was easing. These were newer players who hadn't played as much 5th edition, so I was kind of easing them into the social construct of playing. But now that there's only 3 of them, I don't want to have to cancel if 2 of them are able to back out. So did a whole bunch of recruiting. We'll be doing more of it using those artifacts from the Platinum Edition because I love what they have been able to put together. If you want to see it on display, watch Fistful of Platinum as much as you can. All right, I'm going to go back up to the top of this document. Sorry for those of you following along as I went all the way to the end, but I want to make sure I mentioned some of that stuff. But there is even more happening this weekend that I want to make sure you guys were aware. Those of you in the sunny city of Los Angeles might be interested in checking out the Critical Role art show. So our friends at Critical Role, funnily enough, I don't know if people realize this, but I started at Dungeons & Dragons the same month that Critical Role premiered on Geek and Sundry. That was March 2015, and so we've kind of had this parallel, career path. I don't even know what you want to call it. Rise to the top. Not even that I'm at the top. You know what I'm trying to say. We came into this community at the same time, and the fan art that people have been making for Critical Role has always been a big part of, I think, their popularity as well as their secret sauce as far as making people feel included and excited about what's happening. So they're paying that back a little bit this weekend by having the Critical Role art show, The Art of Exandria. And I think Lauren's throwing a link there in the chat right now so you can find out more about it. But I can actually show some of it. Hold on a second. I can show this visually because of the amazing dun dun da. There you go, Pelham Green. I always go like it's over here, but it's actually over here. I needed to start doing this. Left hand. Here's some of the deets for it right there. Again, it's only in LA, so those of you who are traveling or in Los Angeles will be able to check this out. It's at the Nucleus Art Gallery. Opening reception is Friday 7 to 11, but it's open all day long, both days of the weekend. So cool beans. I love it. I think it's just awesome that Critical Role is giving back to the community by showcasing some of the amazing art that has come. I'm going to minimize this, hoping that I think the image is back there. I'm pretty sure this image from the amazing artist Fiona Staples is going to be part of that art show. I always loved this Molly Mock piece. Kind of brings out the character stuff while having this dramatic pose. Fantastic. I love it. So, you'll be able to see this on display at the art show if you're able to check it out. All right, back to the camera. Yeah, I like how I can just press these buttons and things happen. I wanted to go through some of the fun news that has happened on the interwebs. A lot of these might be stuff that you're already aware of, but bear with me because I love just kind of highlighting how awesome, the press can be about stories and products and things that we're coming out with. So one of them that's really cool, and I can do this now. Wait. Yes, this was. You're not seeing my face, but I'm still talking to you. I hope you can hear me anyway. So, Games Radar is an amazing. It has a whole bunch of ancillary sub-channels. I think there's a Movies Radar and some other things like that. But Games Radar has always been one of my go-tos for finding out about what's happening in the video game world. And then they've, getting into more tabletop coverage. One of the coolest things they talked about was some of the best cooperative board games out there. And to top the list was Betrayal at House on the Hill. And it's a little bit of a misnomer. It definitely starts off as a cooperative game, and there will be most of the players working together. But what's cool about Betrayal is that it has that nice little flip. It has the haunt that gets triggered, and then all of a sudden, usually one player ends up being the bad guy, or what the rest of the players are cooperatively playing against. Some of the scenarios are really interesting and very cool, and if you love horror and that whole kind of trope, this is a nice way to get back into doing that. They recently came out with, and by they I mean Avalon Hill, headed up by Shelley Mazanoble. Recently came out with Betrayal Legacy. So if you like the idea of those horror tropes, you can. And I'm going to go back to myself here. You can play through a campaign essentially. So it kind of combines the long form storytelling of Dungeons and Dragons in a campaign way with the board game exploration moments of Betrayal at House on the Hill in Betrayal Legacy. So I played a few sessions of that so far. Very excited to play more. Can't wait where the story goes and how it unfolds. And I think that's an amazing experience to have in a board game. So check it out if you can. And of course, the base game Betrayal at House on the Hill is a classic, still in print, still amazing. Actually, we just recently one of the I think I can say this now because we have a fix for it. But one of the downfalls of Betrayal at House on the Hill is you had these cardboard character sheets essentially, and then little plastic pieces that would go around the side, and they marked your stats essentially. So if you lost, say a sanity point, you just move the plastic piece down. Now the problem is those plastic pieces weren't really sized correctly, so they often fell off of the cardboard and would be lost. I actually stepped on one the other day in my house, and I was like, what the heck is that? Oh, it's a Betrayal at House on the Hill little plastic piece. We currently now have replacement sets here, and now I'm going to look them up so I get exactly what they are. But they're basically upgrade kits, I think is what they end up calling. And they improved the design of those pieces specifically. Upgrade sets, I think that's what they call them. Yes, our friends at WizKids made these. They're $15, and they have, instead of the plastic pieces clipping on to the cardboard, they have the dial that you can turn. So a little bit of a higher price point. Obviously, why the plastic pieces were included in the cardboard setting was because they were inexpensive and kept the overall cost of the board game down. But there's always people out there that want to be able to spend when they can. So there's premium things for all of the base game, new artwork for the characters, as well as new dice that are thematically colored and themed for the old Betrayal at House on the Hill game. So check that out if you can. Nice way to upgrade your old set, and I'm sure if you've been playing House on the Hill for as long as I have, the pieces have degraded a little bit, so it's always good to kind of have some of these ready to go. And by pieces, I mean components. That's what they call it in the biz. I don't know if you guys know that, but that's what they do. All right, how are you guys doing? Oh, that's really nice. Thank you. Somebody said I had nice salt pepper hair. Thank you for that. I often use my hair as seasoning as well. I need more sugar to put in my coffee. No, actually, there's plenty. There's plenty of sugar. I'm ready to go. I'm zip zam zam zubi. Yes, it was. You're right, Majesty. C2K1. It was better than stepping on a Lego. It was not pointed up straight, so it didn't have those sharp, pointy bits on the inside of the arch of your foot. No, it was more of a what is that? Doesn't feel like a piece of dirt or a doll that I usually step on. Kazleshul, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but how do you know it's not an Irish coffee? Maybe that's why I end up getting a little bit more loose-lipped as the end of this session goes on. No, it is not, of course not. But I like to have that moment of mystery. The point when we have a camera angle that goes down into my coffee mug, that might be a problem, is what I'm trying to say. So back to the article. Thank you so much for the awesome Benjamin Abbott for writing up this a little bit, including Betrayal at House on the Hill, but there's also a lot of other great board games on there, like Pandemic. I love playing as a cooperative game. It's super fun. Even the Pandemic Legacy that Rob Davio worked on as well. I want to check out Hanabi. I've never played that game. And the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective looks pretty amazing too. And of course, Last Night on Earth is a classic. For those of you. But if you don't like zombies, you're not going to like that one because you will most likely be eaten by zombies if you play that game. One other awesome note that I wanted to make sure everyone saw was a lot of people picked up, and I mentioned it myself, after Nathan Stewart and Kate Welch were talking on Spoilers and Swag earlier this month about a nautical themed book coming from Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of amazing outlets picked it up, of course. I think I mentioned that last time I was on here, but there's a new one out there, and I just like, because I just like the name of this outlet. This is pretty cool. Geek Tyrant says that, I'm looking over there because I actually don't have that called up over here. Looks like we're going to learn more about how to set sail in our campaigns. This fits a playtest from the end of the year called Ships and Sea, which I'll let you guys know about. That playtest is still currently available. It's called Unearthed Arcana, Ships and Sea, so go check it out. I actually just like this piece of artwork that is on this article, so go check it out if you can. And I can neither confirm nor deny the fact that it will be nautical themed, but if you had a magic 8-ball that you shook, I'm pretty sure that the answer that would come up would say boats and stuff. No, it would probably say, all signs point to yes. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But it is going to be pretty amazing when we finally spill the beans on what's kind of happening with that book. I think it's not what most people are guessing. I will say that. I've been following along the folks on various forums and social medias, but it's gonna be pretty fun. Some stuff that I actually really really enjoy about playing Dungeons and Dragons will be there, so you'll be able to check it out. And shout out to, and now I want to make sure I always like calling out the people who write these things. So give me a second while How do I use my computer? I don't know. Shout out to Tommy Williams for writing this up for us. I dig it. I dig it a lot. Thanks, Tommy. You get a star. A pirate star. Oh, gosh, I can't even do it. A compass rose. No, you don't get that either. So one of the coolest things happening over the last week was none other than our friend Joe Manganiello. Here, we'll throw this picture up there. I don't know if you saw this as being retweeted a couple of times. I think I might have even retweeted it. But Joe is an awesome dude, as we know, and he went to the Children's Hospital and in Pittsburgh. And yeah, there's now a club of Dungeons and Dragons players at this hospital, and it was just so sweet seeing the way that their eyes kind of were lighting up as they were working with Joe. He was dungeon mastering for them. This was at the UPMC Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, and him and his brother, Nick Manganiello, who they partnered together on the Death Saves apparel, and has been a big player as well. It's pretty cool. I just love that he was able to go to this hospital, play with a bunch of kids. Like I think I mentioned this last week too, but I had a nephew who recently had a bout with having to be in a hospital, not unlike those in the Children's Miracle Network that we support for Extra Life, and having these moments of reality and/or normalcy, playing a game, getting to imagine to be someone else who's not, having to deal with being in the hospital, is super magical. And I love that that Joe did this. Joe and his brother Nick did this, and I want to see more. I want to see more people out there playing and making it super fun. So did you guys see this ever? Did you see it when it went around the thing? There was just this outpouring of support from everywhere in the community about how awesome this was, and I'm hoping, here's hoping more people volunteer and get into the game and allow the kids to travel to another world for an hour or two. Josie, you saw it. That's good. Good to see. Yeah, playing D&D with kids is the best. That's right, Temple. That's totally true. I've been playing with my girls a whole bunch over the holidays. We actually, I don't know, did I tell you this about? But my youngest, Fiona, dungeon mastered for me in a crazy session. The plot for that session, I'm 99% was improvised by her on the spot, and I couldn't have been more proud as a dad. I think she had a basic framework. There were two cottages, and then she kind of just went from there and made it awesome. So, yeah, they have that amazingness of no rules about what their imagination can go, and it ends up being really special, for sure. So that's some of the biggest news items from around the internet. I hope you got a chance to check them out, and that's why I'm here, is to tell you all about them when we're doing it. Some other fun, news that's happening. So I want to try and find and make sure I get it all right. So some changes to the admin staffing for the D&D Adventurers League. So we posted about this on the 11th on the Dungeons & Dragons website, so you can check out the link to that. But if you guys are unfamiliar with what Adventurers League is, well, let me tell you all about it. So say you really want to play Dungeons & Dragons and you just are looking for a bunch of people to be able to do it with. And this is the problem. I was just mentioning how my home game kind of, was at the mercy of adults scheduling or just adulting, as the case may be. There's one really great way that you can get introduced to a whole bunch of fun Dungeons & Dragons players, and that is through a D&D Adventurers League. It is a program designed around kind of short adventures. Anybody can just kind of bring in a character and play with a whole bunch of people. Lots of game stores support nights like this, event nights. So look at your local game store, but then also reach out to everybody at the D&D Adventurers League webpage, not only, and also the Facebook page. And the folks who lead that charge are Chris Lindsay here on the Dungeons & Dragons team. He's the head of the D&D Adventurers League, makes a lot of the decisions all about how it's run and works out. But he also depends on a group of admins to work on various aspects of this program, and they're all amazingly fun people. So first off, Bill Benham was one of these admins, and he is now an associate producer here at Dungeons & Dragons, kind of making the adventures happen. So with his departure from the admin squad, we had a couple of other people. So some of them moved, from different job descriptions and titles. So Claire Hoffman and Alan Patrick are still a part of there. Alan Patrick being the Dungeon Master for Fistful of Platinum. Travis Woodall is a big part of that, and Greg Marks is now a big part of that. That admin team as well. Last year we welcomed Lisa Chen, community manager, to joining that, and she is now joined by Amy Lynn DeZura to lead the Dungeons & Dragons Adventurers League community. And those are all people you can follow on Twitter, mostly, and reach out to them if you have any questions about any of this type of stuff, especially community and how you can get involved. We'll be talking more and more about Adventurers League as it goes out in 2019, and with Lisa Chen moving here to the Seattle area, we're excited about more and more fun stuff that we can do together. And we got a bunch of streaming shows that we have in the works, so that is going to be awesome. Oh, and there she is. Amy Lynn DeZura is here in the chat. Hi. I took a stab at trying to pronounce that correctly, so I'm glad that I did it pretty good. Thanks. Thanks for being there if you can. Admins are in the house. There's right, and there's Merciful DM is the handle there for Lisa Chen. So, shout out to all of these amazing admins for the work that they do. A lot of them, came up through the ranks volunteering. There is, this is a passion for them, but it also is a job. So they get into it and make it really, really awesome. But the amount of work and effort and hours that they put into this far exceeds what we are able to throw out to them. So they need a lot of hugs and support from you and the community. And I'm just here giving that the only way I know how, which is through the interwebs. So through this camera, as well as with lots and lots of swag. You are awesome. And again, we'll be talking more and more about Adventurers League stuff in 2019 for more and more fun stuff. That's coming down the pipe. I can't talk about all of it right now, but it's really exciting. And I see there's lots of purple hearts going on there. And I'm wearing a purple shirt, so that just makes purple. Start wearing purple, wearing purple. I wanted to say about one other thing, and I forget what it was, in regards to Adventurers League. Yes. So, here are a few other bits. So if you're going to Winter Fantasy, you can meet a lot of this admin team that I've just been talking about. Winter Fantasy is a great convention. It's in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It has been going on for years and years and years. It had a bunch of different names, but it's now Winter Fantasy, or it's back to Winter Fantasy. And all of the Adventurers League play that will be happening at Winter Fantasy is in support of Jasper's Game Day, which is run by an amazing woman named Fenway. She's fantastic, and she has been raising money for suicide prevention, talking all about that, and so they're raising money for a great cause there. So if you're interested and you're near the Fort Wayne, Indiana area, go check out Winter Fantasy if you can. And there is a lot of other fun stuff going on in the charity vein that Adventurers League is doing, including Adventurers League CCC. So that's community created content. And I've been talking a lot about Emerald City Comic Con recently, and I always add too many C's to ECCC. I always want to do another C. So now that we have Adventurers League CCCC, I'm going to be saying too many C's with that one as well. So apologies for that. Maybe we just make sure that there's another C in the acronym there so it makes sense. But yes, so Adventurers League community created content adventure will be raising funds for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of America. And you can help support that by checking out It's Not Easy Being Gene. That's the name of the adventure on dmsguild.com. It's an adventure that's written in memory of the author's fellow Adventurers League player and her character who appears as an NPC in the adventure, which I think is pretty cool. So go check that out if you haven't already. I'll be talking a little bit more about Dungeon Masters Guild in a little bit. But one thing that I really want to make sure I get out here on D&D News is we will be sharing pictures as part of this here show of people playing Adventurers League all over the world. And we wanted to shout out an email address, and maybe we can put it here in the chat, but it's community@D&D Adventurers League, all one word, .org. So yeah, send in a picture if you've got a bunch of people playing D&D Adventurers League. Obviously, if it's an action shot with lots of big faces and happiness happening, that's always better, than people who are hunched over just looking down. But whatever pictures you have, show off your game space, show off your amazing players, and if you can, write a little bit of a blurb, even just like where it is, the location the picture was taken, what adventure you're playing, any little bit about your gaming group that's playing D&D Adventurers League content, and then I'll shout it out here on D&D News. So it's a great way for me to show off having fun playing Dungeons & Dragons, but also get the community more involved in what we're doing here. So send something into that email address if you can. It's community@dndadventurersleague.org. And we'll be shouting that out on all of our social media and stuff as well too, but wanted to start the word out here. Dungeon Masters Guild. So how many of you guys interact with the Dungeon Masters Guild website here on the interwebs? Any of you written in there too? Show us your game face. I like that from Warthamer there too. I believe that is one of the admins as well. Is that Mr. Greg Marks? I'm not sure. I know you. Dungeon Masters Guild is a way for creators of D&D 5th edition content to sell it on a one, catch-all marketplace for people to find awesome, all kinds of Dungeons & Dragons content, whether it be adventures. I've seen guides on there. I've seen explorations of different types of mechanics and rules on there. It's really exciting. And there is, that's also where all the D&D Adventurers League content lives. If you want to be able to download short, bite-sized adventures. I mean, that's one comment that we got a lot as we started 5th edition was that, these big 256-page adventure books are great, but they're $50 and I can't even get through them all. So where are the bite-sized adventures? They're on Dungeon Masters Guild. The Adventurers League uses it. It's awesome. You should use it too if you haven't already. It's one of those crazy things where we have been talking about it here a lot at Dungeons & Dragons, but we've heard from a little bird named Merciful DM that not everybody who interacts with the D&D community knows about Dungeon Masters Guild. So I want to continue to get the word out there as much as I can. I may be preaching to the choir a little bit with with you amazing, illustrious folks here in the chat, but it never hurts. It never hurts for me to tell you, and then you can make sure you let other people know about what's happening on there. And we want to just elevate the people who are publishing adventures on there already, as well as get new and exciting voices talking, writing adventures or writing any kind of D&D 5th edition content on Dungeon Masters Guild. And the only way we do that is get the word out about more and more and more. So check it out if you haven't already. There is a couple of bits that are new about Dungeon Masters Guild, which you might not have known, even if you know what it is. The Lost Laboratory of Qualish. That was an adventure that was written for the Extra Life promotion from 2018. That was written by none other than Bart Carroll, I believe. Actually now I want to make sure that's right. No, it is. Okay, so that was the Extra Life stuff. Check it out. It's very cool. It is fun and even has a little shout out to a scion of Bart Carroll. The son of Bart Carroll is dramatized within that adventure, which I think is very cool. It is available as not only as a digital download on Dungeon Masters Guild, but as a softcover book that you can pay for a print on demand, and it'll come delivered to your house. So it's very cool. And as I was saying, it is a great platform for new writers, burgeoning writers, first-time writers out there. Hannah Rose and Kelly Butler recently had, and this I actually have been seeing this a lot, mostly because I follow Kelly, Opera Geek, on Twitter. But they created a bard college called the College of Opera. Her being an actual opera singer, she wanted to have her chosen profession dramatized in a bard subclass. So go check it out. It's pretty neat. And they used her experience as an opera singer to mix and match and create some fun mechanics for that bard subclass. I haven't checked out the actual mechanics of it yet, but the cover is badass enough for you to want to purchase that adventure. So check it out if you can. All right, that's my bit on D&D Adventurers League as well as Dungeon Masters Guild. We'll be highlighting a whole bunch of new fun stuff from there on D&D News going forward, as well as on social. So if you happen to find an adventure or a piece of mechanics or content that's written for Dungeon Masters Guild and you think is super awesome and isn't getting the recognition for whatever reason, you may want it to. Shout it out to me on Twitter. I'm at Greg Tito, and I'm always looking for new and fun stuff to talk about here. So that's a good way to do it. Yeah. And I wish I had the cover of the College of Opera thing as well as Last Laboratory of Qualish, and I can then press the buttons and have it come up so you can see the visuals of that. How cool would that be? So that's a note for production people. We'll be doing more of that going forward. We're trying to make this as visual so you're not just looking at my stupid mug the whole time. So one other fun thing that is announced, I believe today, is Neverwinter Neverwinter Heart of Fire Acquisitions Incorporated is available now on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. How many of you guys play Neverwinter or have jumped into that action MMO at some point since it has been out? It is a super fun translation of D&D mechanics as into an MMO form. So I was a big player of World of Warcraft. I see a few people jumping in here thinking I'm not Chris Perkins. I'm not Chris Perkins. That's right. We're getting ready for Dice Camera action to begin at 4 p.m. Pacific time. We have, that's only 15 minutes away. So you only have to look at my stupid mug for 15 more minutes before the inimitable Chris Perkins starts Dice Camera Action episode 124 with the Waffle Crew and 3 special guests that are joining for, I believe, the second time, the Chicken Foot Coven. Check them out if you can in 15 minutes. So yeah, that was in direct response to somebody on here that was talking about it. Oh, hey, Brian. Brian Cortijo is in here. How's it going? We did, in fact, play our 4th edition playtest. I was a dungeon master for that crazy game in the upper west side of Manhattan. Good to see you in here, Brian. How are you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. But yes, that is true. I know a few other people here. I was actually at the launch of 4th edition somewhere with another friend of mine in New York City. We've been friends ever since, and we always go back to it. Oh yeah, we met at the Complete Strategist in New York City the day that 4th edition released. What was that, 2008, 2007? Something like that. Crazy. I'll actually be in New York very soon. And so, maybe I'll connect with some of my old New York gaming pals there. Shout out to any others of you who may be watching. I was going to tell you about something else, and I forget what it was. Oh, yes, Neverwinter. So, the most recent expansion for Neverwinter had none other than Jerry Holkins as Omen Drawn, Mike Krahulik as Jim Darkmagic, and Amy Falcone as her character from Acquisitions Incorporated C-Team. And it has been out on PC for a little while, but it is now available on Xbox One and PS4. That game is awesome. It's got great vocal talent as well as a nice translation of what the city of Neverwinter looked like, as well as other locales within the Forgotten Realms, including Icewind Dale. They were in Chult. Before this expansion, they were in Ravenloft. So not exactly Forgotten Realms, but you know what I mean. So yeah, it's not just Neverwinter focused, although for the first 60 or so levels you are in the city of Neverwinter, but afterwards you start to branch out and go into different storylines that Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition has gone along the way. I think there's even an Underdark portion of that game. So a lot of console players love it. I don't think when I started playing World of Warcraft back in 2004 that I ever thought that MMOs would take off on consoles, but Neverwinter kind of proves them all wrong. It's super solid as an MMO playing on your Xbox One or PS4. So I hope more people jump into it. And if you're into Acquisitions Incorporated or prepping for AC Inc. Happening at PAX South this weekend with Jeremy Crawford as Dungeon Master playing for those folks, you should get into Heart of Fire. It's totally Acquisitions Incorporated flavored and awesome. Console peasants. Yeah, I know, right? No, but it's funny. I honestly, I would not think that an MMO would have worked, but they did. They made it super fun, and a lot of people dig it. So we made a couple of changes to our streaming schedule here on twitch.tv/DND. You might have noticed, but I'm going to go through some of them here. Yesterday on Mondays we got Roll20 Waterdeep, or Roll20 presents Waterdeep Dragon Heist. That's where Dungeon Master Adam Coble, who is also doing another show, Roleplay, episode 100 on Saturday. So check that out if you can. But we have him here on our channel, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Monday. There's also Todd Talks at 1 p.m. On D&D Beyond. We're hosting them. We might switch those times around to make sure they do not conflict. but we will let you know more about that going forward. Then Loading Ready Run, our friends in Victoria, the Dungeon Master Kathleen DeVere, who is an amazing person I've known for a really long time. She is taking over as Dungeon Master for their thing, and they're calling it By Law and Order. It is set in the world of Ravnica, using a lot of the rules from Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. So check that out on Mondays at 4:30 p.m. Then on Tuesdays, earlier today, you might have seen Don't Split the Podcast Network playing The Demon Plague. That is a fantastic group of folks led by James Introcaso and Rudy Basso. Lauren Urban, Oboe Crazy is in that. How did that game go this morning? Was it fun? And TK Johnson and Robert Aducci, two amazing fun people. And then there's me at 3 p.m. We got Dice Camera Action, as you know. And then Sirens of the Realms tonight. It's Season 3, Episode 12 tonight, which is super cool. Last week, or at least on Episode 10, the Sirens were aided by Matthew Lillard, who jumped in. So we'll see where it goes from there. I think last week they played some Dungeon Mayhem in-game. So I'm excited to see where they go off next. Tomorrow we've got Inkwell Society at 7 p.m. Pacific time. That's with the Dungeon Master Rudy Rutenberg, always dapper in how he looks. I love the aesthetic of what Maze Arcana brings to the table for Inkwell Society, and you should too, because Kyle Vogt is an amazing player. Satine Phoenix, of course, doing her thing with Sig Neutron and Kai Norman. Amazing players, both of them. And it's focused on Eberron and what happens in the neon noir world of the underworld below the city. So Eberron is a fantastic setting, and you might be seeing more of what's happening there. But some of those folks, in fact, worked on the piece of content that I guess I don't really know what to call it. It's a book. Yeah, I guess it's a book, but it's available on Dungeon Masters Guild. It was written in conjunction with the D&D team and the creator of the Eberron setting. So go check that out. That's in all my talk of Dungeon Masters Guild, I didn't mention that product. It's there, and it is amazing, and you should check it out. Okay, then on Thursdays, we've got the D&D Beyond Dev Update with the awesome Adam Bradford talking to you, the audience, just like I am doing right now, about what's happening with D&D Beyond, answering all of your questions there. Encounter Roleplay, Learn by Play is from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. That stays the same. We got Idle Champions. That stays the same. And then Critical Role that Thursday. We don't control that, so I'm assuming that's changing, staying the same. But it is very awesome. I haven't been caught up in the most recent episode, so I'm hoping it is amazing as it has been in the past. And then on Friday, we are moving... so this specifically this Friday at 12 p.m. we are hosting Dice Camera Action Live from PAX South. So, Dice Camera Action fans, we got an extra episode coming at you. The 4 Waffle Crew members will be at PAX South in person in Austin. Chris Perkins will not be there. He will not be the Dungeon Master. In fact, there will be no physical Dungeon Master there. Solely a Dungeon Master there. What's going to happen at this special episode, and maybe Chris will tell you more when he takes over in just about 7.5 minutes. He is Dungeon Mastering by proxy. He's sending letters, epistolaries out to the team, and then the team will Dungeon Master for each other in kind of one-on-one mini sessions. And those specific assignments I don't have on the top of my head, but it's going to be very exciting. It's a kind of a DM-less session, and there will be multiple DMs going on. So you'll have the Waffle Crew having some really kind of interesting moments, maybe some hard choices like they always do in Dice Camera Action. So tune in on Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Time to 2 p.m. Pacific Time. We'll be hosting that, the Penny Arcade channel for that there, and you won't want to miss it. Following that, we got Binwin Plays Idle Champions. The awesome Scott Kurtz will be playing Binwin Bronzebottom, and Corey Kasani will be there as well, and they'll be playing through Idle Champions, which is a fantastic game that allows you to recruit all kinds of players from D&D including ones from lore as well as people who play or characters that are on this here channel. Then we got Tales from the Mists, which the Dungeon Master TK Johnson joins players Lisa Chen, Kayla Klein, Hadil Al-Masari, Ashley Warren, and 2 new special guests will be popping in for Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, Jess Ross and Hannah Rose. So check that out. Last session, there's 4. It takes place in Ravenloft, so that's why it's called Tales from the Mists. I'm assuming you haven't heard about it, but if you have and you're already watching, jump right in and let me know what's cool about it. Hi, TK. I see you in the chat. But yeah, taking Ravenloft natives through the classic adventures in the domains of dread. I like this little tagline. I always like to repeat it. Mysterious guests, dark secrets, and tragic destinies await our heroes. Where will they stand when the fire of revolution burns a path through Ravenloft? Probably dead. I'm just going to throw that out there. They will probably not be alive. They'll probably be dead. But I don't know. Maybe they won't. They can pull it out. That's what D&D is all about, making us get to that dramatic moment. And then, oh, yes, heroes arrive. But that's a great show. And if you are interested in more of the horror-themed Ravenloft stuff that we have put out in the last few years, check out Tales from the Mist for a new spin on it. And sorry, I spoiled spoiled the game. They're like, yeah, probably. Yeah, it makes sense, TK. Cool, and I already mentioned a lot of stuff that's happening this weekend, but there is tons of it, including Fistful of Platinum at 9 a.m., talking about the Platinum Edition for Dungeons & Dragons. Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Then there is Roleplay's Court of Swords, episode 100. That starts at 1 p.m. Pacific time. They'll be going for 8 hours. We'll be hosting as much as we can. But then we also have a panel called Ask the Waffle Crew Anything Live will be at PAX. We're hoping that's streamed. We'll host that as much as we can. That's at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be hosting Trace Albus as long as we can. That's from 4 to 7 with Elweria, so I believe is in the chat. And then, of course, we've got Acquisitions Incorporated, the main stage show at PAX South, Dungeon Mastered by Jeremy Crawford. He left on a cliffhanger at the end of the last session at PAX Unplugged, so we'll be picking it right up from there. I believe the fate of Jim Darkmagic lies undetermined right now, and so he'll be picking it right up from there, and he's very excited. And then on Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we've got Rivals of Waterdeep Season 3 starting with a new Dungeon Master. He was a cast member, Sharif Jackson. His first time Dungeon Mastering, definitely on a live stream. I think it's the first time Dungeon Mastering ever. Maybe he's got a few practice sessions under his belt, but I love that story. He only started playing Dungeons & Dragons less than a year ago, and he's Dungeon Mastering here for this live stream, and I can't wait to see where the story goes from there in Chicago. So check that out if you can. Last little bit before I sign off here and allow you guys to get ready mentally for episode 124 of Dice Camera Action with the Waffle Crew, which is happens in the studio right over there, so that's why I'm pointing that way. But the last thing I want to let you guys know about is there's a new campaign for Nerd Poker. How many of you listen to Nerd Poker? Brian Posehne's group of stand-up comics from LA. They play kind of a more metal themed, not themed, but like, just kind of an old school, 1980s heavy metal Dungeons and Dragons kind of format on a podcast. It's called Nerd Poker. It's been around for years and years and years. There's a new new story arc coming from Dungeon Master Dan Telfer that will be dropping next week. So I can't wait for you guys to tune in and listen to that if you're interested. It's a great podcast, and we'll be talking hopefully to some of the cast members very soon about all of that on Dragon Talk. So that'll be potentially on Friday. We're playing Dragon Talk by ear, but we'll let you know more as we get closer to that time. You guys are awesome. I'm getting very... Oh, yes, and then, of course, D4, the amazing podcast from... it's not a podcast, live stream that is Dungeon Mastered by Dustin Fletcher. You should check that out on Sunday as well. That's 4 p.m. Pacific time. I've been seeing all of the set pieces that Dustin has been making for that show. They look amazing. They use great miniatures and great photography to bring those miniatures to life. So if you're interested in that kind of an experience of Dungeons & Dragons, check out D4 if you can at 4 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday. And then Lauren has the thing in there. Okay, well I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to talk about. I'll let you guys know a whole bunch of news over the course of this hour. I hope you were able to digest it as much as you can. But if you take one takeaway from this, if you play in D&D Adventurers League, send in your picks to the email address that I mentioned earlier, which I'm trying to find to make sure I get it right, but I believe it is community@dndadventurersleague.org. Send pics of you playing, tell me about your group, and I'll start highlighting them here on D&D News. I want to get people from all over the world playing D&D Adventurers League and getting excited about highlighting them on this show. So send them in, spread the word, and I will hopefully see you guys very soon. Enjoy episode 124 of Dice Camera Action starting in just a few minutes. Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.